How cool is that? And how cool is this? Ladies and gentlemen, the man who keeps the lights on here in the basement is Peyton Manning. Peyton, welcome to the basement. I'm thrilled to have you.
Hey, Kyle, thanks for having me, pal. Looking forward to having some fun.
Oh, yeah. I got to start right out of the gate, Peyton, with an icebreaker. What advice would you have for someone who has to interview their boss?
Well, I don't really look at it that way. I've never had to interview Jim Irsay or the Bolin family during my time, so that would be a new one on me. I kind of interview Eli each day, and all he does is make fun of my forehead. So that's about as much advice as I can give you.
I'll take it, because I got to say, back in the day, you interviewing Mr. Irsay would have been electric content. I think that was actually a miss that we did not do that, because I'm seeing Irsay, and he's a rock star now, and he's doing all his stuff, and he's got all kinds of things going on. But you mentioned, of course, you and Eli, Peyton, the Manning Cast, season 1, massive success. It had to feel good for you and Eli to finally have a successful rookie season, right?
It was fun to do it together, Kyle. Fun to do it with him. 10 Mondays is plenty. I don't want to see Eli every Monday. 17, way too many. So just the fact that we have 10 and we can have guests on there that love football as much as we do. I like hanging out with people that love football as much as Eli and I do, from Condoleezza Rice in politics to Snoop Dogg to current players. It's just a different way to do it. Looking forward to getting it started. We got Broncos Seattle on Monday. That game is not short on drama and storylines. I think it'll be good football too. So we're excited to kick it back off this season.
Yeah, you know, there's always this one-upmanship you have to do in TV, whether it's, you know, the next season of Game of Thrones has to be bigger and cooler, or even something that you've done like SNL. The next season always has to be funnier. Season 1 of ManningCast was so good. So give us a little more. Like, give us a taste of season 2. How do you outdo it? And, like, do you have a wish list for people to come on? What do we got?
Yeah, look, to use a cheesy football analogy, when I played for the Colts and the Broncos, we always believed in our staples of our offense, the plays that were in the game plan every week, right? We were going to run a lot of repeat plays. And so I am kind of a believer in that if you're copying someone else's game plan each week, you might not execute as well. So I think you'll see a lot of the same things that we did last year, because it was different, right? Eli shooting the bird because he thought there was a delay. That was, I still can't stop laughing about that. Like, no, there's not a delay. Who said there was a delay? This is our 4th game. Snoop Dogg saying he wants to be a member of our family. Those are the things you can't predict. And so I hope we have more moments like that. There were some guests that we tried to get last year that just didn't know a lot about it. So they passed. So we're going to reach out to them again. Although we will have some repeat guests. Like Snoop Dogg is going to be back. Sure. Condoleezza Rice, who knows football more than any of us, I think, is going to be back. And just try to keep it fresh. And like I said, I told Eli he's got to get some new material. Forehead jokes, he's maxed out. He's got to find something different.
Yeah, you can't do the same forehead, the armpit sweat, and the chicken. You got to go with new stuff. But it's funny, Peyton, because the bird, which is really a double bird, lives on in infamy now. I was texting one of my best friends, and we like to talk bleep to each other. And I wanted to just send him like a screw you type GIF or something. I go to the GIF field where you just type in congratulations or I miss you. I typed in screw you, and the first one that comes up is Eli doing the double things. It's perfect. That is never going away.
The fact that I've heard Eli tell that story probably 100 times, Kyle, at some Q&A sessions for some business conferences. He always knows where he is. He always just gives the double fist. The fact that the one time he broke was on national TV is priceless.
It's so good, and the second he did it, we all go, oh my God, look what Eli just did. We cannot wait for season 2. And you mentioned already Russ in Seattle. Peyton, week 7 of the NFL season 2013, for the fans, it was a big deal that Peyton was going back to Indianapolis. I feel like I was nervous about it. For you to live that and all you accomplished there, to come back with a new team, what was that like for you emotionally, and what might Russ be feeling this weekend?
Yeah, that was tough for me. I mean, Russell, I've heard him say it's not going to be any different. I'm focused on the game, and that's easier to say right now in the training camp. But on Monday night, there's no doubt he'll be feeling lots of emotions. I think it's kind of shady that the NFL put this week 1. Like you said, I had, week 7 had some time to get used to it. I mean, Russell is still doesn't even know exactly what that uniform is going to feel like on him. Right. I could see him going to the wrong locker room, still getting to know some of these receivers. And so it'll be great theater, don't get me wrong, but I could see there being, some emotions, could be some jitters early. I see Russ settling down and kind of playing good football. But I also see Pete Carroll having that group fired up, right? People say Seattle's rebuilding. Pete Carroll says, BS, we're not. We are rolling full speed ahead. And Russell's never played in that crowd. That is as loud a place as there is to play. They're always quiet and polite when Russell's playing for the Seahawks. So that'd be different. It was emotional for me. Kyle, you have kind of this decision to make. Do you put your game stone face on, not acknowledge the fans who are, wearing your Colts jersey, saying your name, or do you kind of acknowledge them and wave to them and, wave to the crowd after they do a tribute video? I sort of chose to acknowledge it because to go in there all stone-faced, I think just didn't feel right to me after my 14 years there and kind of what they meant for me.
Yeah, I remember it being a beautiful night. I think he had the right game plan. I'm sure Russell will too. It's true what you said about the way they did it week 1. We're going to talk about kids in a second, but as the kids say these days, the schedule makers showed zero chill in just having them go right there. But it'll be entertaining for us, right? Listen, speaking of zero chill, last night, Peyton, we watched Bills Rams, and Josh Allen was already a phenomenon in week 1. He was absolutely spectacular. There's a part of the broadcast last night where they were telling this amusing childhood story where when he would drive to school, his father, even though when Josh was a little kid, would start peppering him with like fake journalist questions and preparing him to talk to the media. And in fact, Josh would study guys like Favre and yourself, like to get to where he is today. So 2 questions. On your way to school, was Archie ever hitting you guys with questions like fake media writers for the Pecune? And what do you think of Josh in general, man?
Yeah, no, I don't remember my dad ever doing that. We were playing football trivia. He would say 34. I had to say Walter Payton. Cooper had to say another 34. Cool. That was our game. So good for Josh getting ready. He was awesome. I mean, he's better than last year. His decision-making was quick. He was getting the ball out of his hands. He was turning and running right away. Wasn't taking a lot of, free shots, which is what defenses are going to try to get on him. So, and their defense was like fast, angry. Kyle, it's an angry team, right? I like angry teams, right? I don't like teams that are comfortable, settled in. Hey, let's just happy to be here. They looked angry. The Rams looked great. Wow, did they look good? I mean, woo! No hangover at all from them from the Super Bowl. They're in peak form. Yeah, look out AFC. I mean, Buffalo, people have been hyping them up, but I'm not saying they're going to go 17-0, but they're for real.
Yeah, the Rams are saying, somebody hold my hair back, I'm dry heaving, and somebody will get me some Denny's. Can somebody go to Denny's and get me some grease? Peyton, let's follow up on that, because you've won the Super Bowl. Coming back the next season from the first one, I apologize for the stock NFL question, but what about that Super Bowl hangover? Did you feel it after you guys won the first one?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me and our team, we had been knocking on the door. We had our heart ripped out like Buffalo had last year against the Chiefs, several playoffs in a row. Yeah. And so we were angrier and angrier and angrier. And finally, in 2006, we said, enough's enough. This is ours. But I felt like we came back angry the next year in 2007. We were undefeated. We were 8-0 and just happened to lose our first game against another undefeated team, the Patriots, who decided to remain undefeated until the Super Bowl. So, look, I think the Rams will get it together. You still go back and remember that Packers-Saints game last year where everybody said the Packers are done, and Aaron said, "Hey, let's calm down a little bit." I think Sean McVay will calm them down. Aaron Donald, Stafford, Kupp, those guys will get it going again. Rams will be in the mix at the end.
I actually think they're going to be fine, too. I think week 1 is a notorious liar on the NFL schedule and anything you take from it. But, Peyton, back to Josh quickly. Josh comes on the show. He comes into the basement here every single Tuesday. And Josh loves movies, even more so than most athletes. So he said he's got this long flight from Buffalo to L.A. and back, and he's missing a lot of the classics, because he's born in 96. He's not seen a lot of the 90s and 80s classics. So he had never seen Heat with De Niro and Pacino. I assigned it to him. He's going to come back next week with a review of Heat. So I wonder if you might help us, because you know the stuff so well, too. A sort of 90s or 80s era movie that we can suggest as part of the Josh Allen Film Festival.
I did this to all of our rookies one year. We were in meetings, and I was saying phrases from these movies. I was saying, "This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy." He wants these cans, and I'm hearing crickets. Right? I'm getting nothing, no response. I said, "Look, here's your homework this week. I want you to watch.
Let's go.
Vacation, The Jerk, Caddyshack, Stripes." Okay, watch those movies. I don't want to hear about Old School. I don't want to hear about some movie a couple years ago. I want you to watch the classics. And they all went and watched them, and they were like, "We didn't really get it. It just seems silly." I'm like, "All right, don't talk to me. I'm not throwing the ball to you all week in practice." So I'd go with Vacation and Fletch to start for Josh Allen.
That's great. Dallas Clark, with all due respect to Superbad or whatever you're watching, go back and watch Ghostbusters. Have you seen that? That's what we're going to recommend. Okay? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so Josh is going to get that next week. He'll have a thought on it. Of course. Meanwhile, Peyton, Capital One College Bowl. I love game shows. I have an affection for just college kids who are trying to be out there and be ambitious. Sophomore season, back-to-back episodes tonight. Tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, NBC. You can watch it on Peacock. It is you. It is Cooper. Tell us what we can expect.
It's a much better show and game this year, Kyle, for a couple reasons. We had 16 teams, felt like a March Madness, Sweet 16 March. We had a live audience. Last year, we were dealing with COVID restrictions. We had parents of the students there. We had mascots from University of Washington and BYU. We had bands there. It felt like a game, right? It felt like a college football game. We're introducing the players. Cooper and I are just trying to stay out of the way. Cooper can't help but get in the way. I'm just trying to pronounce the questions correctly, Kyle. I had an hour pronunciation meeting every morning. I'm like, I'm not even going to ask what this word means. Just tell me how to say it. And but the kids, look, they're smart, they're engaging, but they're all playing for life-changing scholarship money. And the losing team each gets $5,000. The winning team gets over $100,000 thanks to Capital One. That's what connected with me, Kyle, because I've been a part of scholarships at HBCUs and my alma mater. Honored my old teammate Demarius Thomas, his family with a scholarship from Georgia Tech, someone from his hometown. It's a game-changing event to give someone the opportunity to get an education. In this case, these students can pay off student loans, go to grad school, let their little brother go to college. And so those moments were real when these kids were finding out how much scholarship money they were winning. That was the best part about it for me.
And it shows when you watch. You perfectly stick the landing. It's funny as hell. It's entertaining, but then it's got that heart. It is a great thing to watch either with your kids, your wife, your husband. It's on tonight. It's back-to-back episodes, 8 o'clock. Everybody watch it tonight. Peyton's great, obviously, in it, and Cooper's amazing. Peyton, I know you, though. Like, you have such an appreciation for those who came before you, whether it was Marino and Montana and football. Who is your game show host idol? Who's the one that you looked at? You're like, that was my guy growing up, or my girl?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm a little different than Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers, could be the host of Jeopardy, but he could also win Jeopardy as a contestant, right? I mean, that's real. That's authentic. I couldn't get any of these questions right. And sometimes I'd butcher the key word to the question, and they'd still get the question right. So I'm completely out of place. And so Did I study film of Alex Trebek? Absolutely not. It's not even a comparison. But if we're going to talk great hosts, I mean, we got to go with Dick Clark and
Let's
Wink
go
Martindale, right? Let's go with those guys.
Yeah, those are truly like the Bart Stars and the YA Tittles. Like they walk so you guys could run. The classics. It doesn't surprise me at all. Peyton, before you go, and you're the best, and I love that we get to do Kyle Brandt's Basement with Omaha. I have one more question for you that I think is really important. Like you, I have a younger brother who I look to help out a little bit. Now he's significantly younger than me. My younger brother Austin. He is having his bachelor party this fall. I am the best man. I have to plan it. He told me for his bachelor party, he wants to go to a big-time Southern college football game. We have identified a weekend, and I need you to help me pick where we should go, and I have a feeling you have a take. Here's our 4 options on this weekend. We could go to Tennessee against Alabama, Ole Miss, which is getting a lot of votes, against Auburn, or you go to Florida State, we've got playing Clemson, or Florida. So Tennessee, Ole Miss, Florida State, or Florida. Where should we go for the bachelor party and why?
It's a 2-man race for sure. It's Knoxville or Oxford. Depending on the times of the games, I probably couldn't do both. Golly, it's so hard to pick. Look, I mean, I'm all Vols, I'm all Orange, but I grew up going to Ole Miss football games. I mean, those were the games that I went to on Saturdays. You know, I didn't go to a lot of LSU games. So I have such great memories there. You know, once I chose to go to Tennessee, they stopped talking to me for about 5 years until Eli chose Ole Miss, and they kind of let me back in the club. But, you know, my parents, Cooper, Eli, all have places in Oxford. I'm allowed to come like once every 2 years. I can't come that much. So now you got one weekend. You got I'm going with Knoxville. Tennessee, Alabama.
Got to do it.
Balls are going to upset Alabama. You're going to witness greatness and history right there at Shields Watkins Field at Neyland Stadium. So go to Ole Miss for his 5-year anniversary.
I got it. It's a great answer. Knoxville's the answer from Peyton. I think the most compelling response we got from the internet was, look, if you're going to have your bachelor party at Ole Miss, there's not going to be a wedding. So go to Knoxville. So I'm like, good idea.
This is true. That is brilliant advice.
Absolutely. So it looks like it's going to be Knoxville. Peyton, a lot of times on these shows, the guest will end by saying, thanks for having me. In this case, the host is going to say it. Thank you for having me here at Omaha. I am honored. I am extremely proud, and I'm going to work my ass off on this show. Thank you so much, Peyton.
Kyle, thanks for having me. Proud to be a teammate of you. Looking forward to having a lot of fun.